Welcome to LMC-TV. I'm Michael Witsch, your host for the next several minutes. Well, we're talking to a special guest. I'd like to welcome Elliot Fox, the Executive Director of the Emelin Theatre. Welcome,
Hi.
Elliot.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, and nice to see you here. And the Emelin Theatre is a place that is special in Mamaroneck, but it's also special in Westchester. Your tagline is world class right here. Can you explain how you arrived at that tagline?
Absolutely. I wish I could take credit for it. The tagline was adopted before my arrival in late 2015. But the board was taking a very hard look at what it meant for the Emelin Theatre to be here. We were bringing in tremendous artists and talent and interesting programs. And we recognized, you know what? We've got amazing stuff going on right here in southern Westchester. So world class right here was meant to imply the quality of work that you were going to see at the Emelin Theatre is on par with anything you would go to see in New York City or Boston or Chicago or any of the main cultural hubs. But it was right here in your backyard of Mamaroneck, Larchmont, southern Westchester.
And one of the things I noticed on your website is it's affordable. You're not charging New York City prices.
That's another really nice benefit of being right here in the backyard is it's reasonable to come here. We try and take a look at ticket pricing, and we always offer a range of ticket pricing so that people can afford to come. We also have a lot of programs that we support various organizations around the community with significantly discounted tickets or complimentary tickets to various events. But the other thing that's a savings to people in the community is you don't have to drive into the city. You don't need to pay parking. If you're going to eat out in town, it's more reasonable to eat in Mamaroneck and Larchmont in this area, or you can have dinner at home and still make an 8 o'clock curtain.
Lord knows we've got a lot of eateries right on Mamaroneck Avenue within walking distance of the theater.
No shortage of great food here in southern Westchester, that's sure.
That's true. Well, we're going to show people some samples of some of the programs, but a little bit of history from the Emelin. It opened in 1972.
Correct.
And was it a gift from the Emelin family?
Well, my understanding is that Arthur Emelin gifted the property on which the theater is now constructed, and he gave that to the library. So it was officially built as the library theater, and in fact the library still owns the property, but the Emelin has a long-term lease on it that will outlast either of us, so it's in good shape.
And not too long ago, the library underwent a renovation and an expansion, and you're connected physically to the library building now, are you not?
Correct. We do share a doorway that often is used when the library has certain programs going on. We open up the lobby so that access to the library is easier for patrons coming in for that. But it's created a very nice relationship between the two of us. We continue to look for ways that we can work together and really service the community.
All right. Before we continue to talk about yourself, your job, and the Emelin itself and its organization, let's take a look at a few samples of some of the programming you offer. We're going to start with something that's coming up, I guess, this weekend. That's Jake Shimabukuro.
Right.
I said it right. He's a guitarist, and we're going to start with him. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
but it's way too late to ask. I see a million exits, but I stare and let them pass. Though the road is paved, but narrow by the secrets that it keeps. Oh, yeah. Well, I see your face.
mamá es la dueña. Una es muy grande, la otra muy pequeña. Mira estas dos vacas, mi mamá es la dueña. Una es muy grande, la otra muy pequeña.
Welcome back, and I'm here with Elliot Fox, who's the executive director of the Emelin Theatre. Those are just a few samples. We're going to see more later on, but we've seen a guitarist, we've seen a jazz trio, a singer, and the 1, 2, 3 Andres. So some of your programming is in Spanish?
Well, it's something I'm exploring. We have a very large Latino community here in Lower Westchester, and I'm trying to find ways, particularly with families. 30% of the programming that we do at the Emelin Theatre is for families and school outreach. And particularly now with the development of dual language programs in our school system, we're trying to find ways that we can support that and welcome all families to the Emelin Theatre. So looking specifically for Spanish and English presentations. 1, 2, 3 Andres is a tremendous duo. They're actually a couple out of DC, Andres and Christina, and they just do a beautiful job. They're phenomenal performers, very entertaining, and as you may have just heard, obviously speak in native Spanish and English.
Now, there's a special Valentine's Day performance that we didn't see a clip of, but it's tomorrow night. It's Friday the 14th, and it's a Valentine's special, and tell us about it.
So the Emelin has one of the most respected and longest running bluegrass series in the Northeast. We are celebrating our 39th season. Tomorrow night, for Valentine's night, we always do that Friday, just either on Valentine's or before, is Special Consensus. Tremendous bluegrass band that if you're a bluegrass fan, you will already know them. If you are not, you will be blown away by the level of musicianship. Some of the best string players in our country are in bluegrass.
And there are tickets still available?
Tickets are still available. It's getting tight, but yeah, there are tickets still available for Friday night the 14th, 8 o'clock show.
But
Great.
Call immediately.
Call immediately or go online, yeah.
Okay. And I'd like to add, as many times as I've been to the Emelin, I've always felt a warmth in that space. It's a small theater, relatively. I mean, you don't have a huge balcony and multi-tiers. So no matter where you sit, you can see, and you just feel like you're right there, almost at the stage.
Yeah, I refer to it as very off-Broadway. I come out of the off-Broadway community. It is a very intimate house. No seat in that theater is more than about 45 feet from the stage. And you still feel very connected to the artists. The artists enjoy seeing all of the audience members. We refer to it as the most intimate concert venue in Westchester. And I don't know all of them out there, but we are among the most intimate in the region, 275 seats maximum.
You also have a film series. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Extremely prolific film series. The Emelin started its film club about 15 years ago. We've now expanded that, so we have a Wednesday night club and now a Sunday morning club as well. And each of those clubs does 3 sessions throughout the year. Each session has 6 different brand new independent films. So these are pre-release. We bring in preferably guests who are part of the film, whether they're directors or performers or producers, and sometimes we just have experts or scholars who know a lot about that genre or the particular filmmakers involved. It's a very interesting and well-attended series. We love it.
I remember one that I went to where Bennett Miller was the guest, and he was the director of Moneyball, I think, or he was the director of Moneyball. I happened to be his teacher in high school for television, and that's kind of where he got his start, because I remember some of his early films. And he was interviewed on stage, and we saw the film, and it was a wonderful experience to be able to talk to the director of the movie and ask questions.
I agree. Again, the intimacy of that venue is really helpful when you're seeing a film or a live event. We invested several years ago in state-of-the-art digital cinema equipment, so it's as strong as any first-run theater that you would go to in the region. We have the same equipment. So super high-quality visuals, super high-quality sound, and when you couple that with guests from the film or experts in the field, it creates a really nice experience.
You also have a school outreach program, and in particular, talk about the camp that you've got coming up next week during the school break.
That's right. So there's a couple of things we do. We have a very successful school outreach program where most of the shows that we show for family audiences on the weekends, we do special student-only matinees midweek. And schools from the region for 30 years have been coming to that. It's a very well-respected program. We also recently started to do programs with Artistry. Artistry is a kids performing arts program here in Mamaroneck. And for years they've been doing their performances at the Emelin Theatre. So I finally reached out to them. It's run by Heather and Peter Capel. And I reached out to them and said, let's do something together. We have programs for children. We had been doing break camps and summer camps for kids for years. So I decided to move this to a local relationship. And Heather and Peter have been working with us now we're on the second year of that relationship. But we do kids 1 week camps during both the February break and the April break, and then over the summer. And they get to work with Heather and her team on acting and singing, and it culminates in a performance at the end of the week. It's really a lot of fun.
Some of these are open to all ages. There's one on March 13th with the 1-2-3 Andres group.
Yes.
And that will be in Spanish and English.
Correct.
And then another one right after that on March 27th, the Pout Fish is for little kids, pre-K to 2, grade 2.
Yeah.
And after that, there's one called Judy, Moody, and Stink.
Oh, Judy, Moody, and Stink. I mean, just a classic book series. Our family series has been substantially for younger kids, early stage families, storybook theater, if you will. That came out of a request by a lot of the educators that when they thought about bringing the kids out on a field trip to see a piece of work, they wanted something that they could relate to in the classroom. So a lot of our work from various presenters and creators around the country focuses on storybooks that the kids might be studying, or we often inspire the teachers to use that book in their classroom. And then they come and see the work, they get to meet the actors, they sing the songs. It's really I think one of my favorite programs that we have.
It sounds like a great connection between the Performing Arts Center and the schools.
I think so, and we take that responsibility very seriously. As a community-based theater, with roots in community theater, we take that responsibility quite seriously, that we are here to also serve not just the adult population, but we want to try and serve everybody and think about the kinds of programs and the kinds of education that we can provide. So particularly with our schools and our younger kids, trying to introduce them to theater and live performance early on, give the teachers something to do, a reason to get out of the classroom for at least part of a day, I think is good. It's very helpful.
I'd like to show some more examples of some of the programs that you've got coming up. And we're going to start with a singer, rock pop singer, Lisa Loeb.
Oh, man.
And then we're going to see
phenomenal.
the Peking Acrobats and Graham Parker, who's another performer. And then the Eddie Henderson Quintet that has a special connection to Mamaroneck. So let's take a look.
Say hello, say goodbye. It's a simple thing to try. You might feel a little shy, but you can do it. Say hello, say goodbye, and you might be surprised. It's consequently kind, there's nothing to it. Hey, hey, what do you say? This could be the best day, or better than the rest day. Hey, hey, what do you know? 1, 2, 3, just give it a go. Wave your hand, it's easy, say hello.
So, Mr. Fox, what is the connection with Eddie Henderson and Mamaroneck?
So Eddie Henderson, the phenomenal Dr. Eddie Henderson, is a Mamaroneck resident. He and I met just in town. I didn't know that he was a jazz musician at the time. And we just started talking about music. And he reintroduced himself, told me what he had been doing his life. And he travels the world playing with not only solo, but with various ensembles. And I asked Eddie if he would help me put together a jazz series at the Emelin. We have a long history of doing jazz, but we wanted to try and focus and pull together a program that we called the Jazz Circle, which would bring in and welcome some really tremendous artists. So Eddie put together a series with me that started a couple of weeks ago. We had Dave Douglas and Joe Lovano Quintet doing their Sound Prints album. John Schofield is coming up on March 5th, a tremendous guitarist who's also Westchester-based, I think. And then Eddie Henderson Quintet will wrap that up for us in April. So it's been really, really wonderful to get an exposure to this quality jazz that I have not really experienced that much in my career. So
if you're just joining us, I'm with Elliot Fox, the Executive Director of the Emelin, and I think we have a listing of some of the programs, or all of the programs that are coming up. I think you brought it in print form. And where can people obtain these?
So best way to check our full listing of what's coming up throughout the year is the website, emelin.org. The brochures are placed around town. They're at the library. They're at different outlets throughout the community. You can also give us a call and ask to be put on a mail list, and we'll be happy to send it out to you in hard copy or just put you on our email list.
Okay. You were telling me while we were watching that clip that you love this, that part of your job is finding performance and artists. How do you do that?
It is the best part of the job. We present about 150 different events throughout the year. And for me, I'm able to think about who are the artists, who are the musicians, who are the performers that inspired me throughout my life. I mentioned that to you while we were watching the Lisa Loeb clip.
Yeah.
I remember listening to Lisa's work in the 90s when she became very popular. Lisa's never stopped working. She just had, some really wonderful success in the 90s, but her writing, her musicianship is brilliant. And to have an opportunity to bring Lisa to Mamaroneck at the Emelin Theatre, there's just nothing wrong with that at all. It's so much fun. Follow her up with Graham Parker, who's a bit of rock and roll history. And to have that opportunity, along with all the family programming, the jazz, that's the best part of the job.
Well, do you do a fair amount of traveling to find these acts?
Fortunately, being right around New York City, I don't have to travel all that much. However, I did just attend a conference for Theater for Youth down in Philadelphia, this organization called iPay. International organization, so I was able to see about 25 different productions from around the world. As a result, I put in offers on a number of them that I think would play really, really well at the theater and would also help introduce our community to some different forms of entertainment and different interpretations. So hopefully I'll be successful with some of those and bring some of these great artists from around the world.
It occurs to me that as there's so many entertainment options around and people are glued to their screens, big or small. Live theater, you have to get dressed, you have to go out, you have to park, you have to buy the ticket. What are the benefits? What are the advantages of live theater over other ways of being entertained?
I think there is no substitute for the live experience. I'm a theater guy. I spent 35 years developing and producing new work in New York City. And the same experience for me happens with live music. Absolutely, you can listen to a great recording, you can have a wonderful stereo system at home and enjoy it, sit back and relax. The experience of coming out to a live presentation, that event is only going to happen once. If you miss it, it's never coming back again, that exact performance. You're there with friends maybe, other people from the community. There is a shared experience that happens. And the excitement, the experience of that live performance, whether it's a legitimate theater piece or a musical event or a kids show, there's no substitute for that. It's a completely different experience than sitting at home.
You also made a little bit of a joke, or I made the joke about two Elliots at the Emelin.
Yeah.
You can give a shout out to the other Elliot.
I will. We have a tremendous staff at the theater. Some of the folks have been working there for 15 years. An excellent production team who make all of our artists and events look and sound really, really good. The Elliot you're referring to is we have two Elliots at the Emelin. I'm Elliot Fox, and Elliot Sotomayor is our operations manager. He's generally the face that most people will see at the theater when they walk in, either at the box office or trying to get the audience comfortably seated or occasionally running the bar. That kind of thing. But everybody at the theater, starting with our really committed board of directors, through the production staff, through the front of house staff, through the office staff, tremendous group of people.
The board of directors, I think there are 15 people on the board.
Correct.
And they serve rotating terms, I assume?
Well, yeah, they do have an option. I mean, it's not necessarily a lifetime commitment. We are delighted that most of these folks have actually been with us for a number of years. We've been successful in cultivating some new relationships. So we have a few people that have joined in the last 2 to 3 years. And I think always refreshing the energy, getting in new perspective, new ideas, new expertise, and helping to build the family is very important in the nonprofit arts. The Emelin is a not-for-profit organization, so we rely partially on our ticket sales and the revenues that we derive at the theater, but substantially we rely on this community for contributions. So it's a big deal.
Talk about that. You have a donation site where people can click and make a donation or join the Emelin as a member, and the benefits of membership and donations?
So top benefit I like to think is that you're supporting live performing arts here in your community. If the Emelin were not here, there would be a huge hole left in this community, culturally speaking. Yes, you could go to New York, you could go to White Plains, you could travel to other places. But it is a real luxury and a benefit to a community to have a place like the Emelin Theatre in your backyard. It makes life really easy and wonderful. You can visit our website to make a donation, emelin.org. There's links to that. We do large-scale fundraising as well. We do an annual gala, traditionally held at Beach Point Club, which is our single largest fundraiser of the year, and that's always one of the best parties on the Sound Shore. But throughout the year, we encourage people to consider us for contribution. You can become members starting as little as $50 for the year, and that gives you a sliding scale of benefits, from early notice and early opportunity to buy tickets first, to savings on different tickets and free drinks at the bar, things like that.
If free drinks at, well, the bar, is that something new at the Emelin?
It is relatively new. We had a concessions counter. We've been serving beer and wine for a number of years, but we just inaugurated back on February 1st, we built in a new bar at the theater. It's still wine and beer, but I'm allowed to do tastings of spirits and different beverages, so I've started to invite local distillers and breweries to come and do complimentary tastings at the bar. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. We engaged Tom McKenna Home Builders, worked with us to craft this bar, and it suits the space so beautifully. We can really service the audience a lot better with it. I
want to give you a chance to mention some things that are coming up this season. First of all, I hope to have you back to talk about the next few things that are happening at the Emelin, but you are having a, where are you? Well, Colin Quinn is coming.
Colin Quinn is coming, and we have a long history with great comedy. And Colin Quinn became available and told us he'd be available to come join us at the Emelin, so we booked him for May 1st.
And you've also got Mark Morris Dance Group coming?
Mark Morris Dance, world-class dance organization. They travel around the country, around the world, excuse me. They're based in Brooklyn. So along with my dance curator, I work with a woman named Andrea Snyder, who is really plugged into the dance community in New York. Andrea introduced Mark Morris Dance Group as an idea, and they said, yes, we'd love to come. So May 15th, we'll have Mark Morris Dance on stage.
And before that, you've got National Theatre live. This is in high definition.
It is.
Live television, but it's projected on a giant screen at the Emelin.
Right. So NT Live is short for National Theatre Live. This is a program started by the National Theatre of London about 10 years ago. And they go around the country, Britain that is, capturing some of their best theatre pieces. They edit it beautifully, put it up on high definition, and then allow other venues around the world to show those productions. So
and
we just
what
started
will we
that
be
this year.
seeing?
Let's see, coming up we have the Bridge Theater's production of Midsummer Night's Dream. That's in mid-March, I think March 15th, if I remember correctly. April 19th we'll be showing Cyrano de Bergerac, and still yet to program other productions that we'll do after April.
Well, thank you for giving us a taste of the Emelin, and
Thanks,
hope
Mike.
that everybody out there who's watching will pay a visit, make a donation, and support local theater. It does improve the quality of life in this community. And,
I appreciate that.
We appreciate your coming on and hope to have you back.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching.